Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Smart Contact, where smart people come to contact crypto. My name is Jonathan, your rock and roll journalism man who's been super into crypto for well over a year now. Every single day, I am in this space watching YouTube videos, inspecting the markets, gathering all the information that I can, educating myself on trading, and I want to share that with you because I believe that crypto can bring us together. I think it's the confluence of technology and finance and enlightenment all coming in together, and we can't get it wrong. And so today is going to be a 5 things video. This channel is one of the most important channels, and it's so sad that I only have like a handful of views because if you would have watched my last video, I talked about things that other channels started talking about days later, and some of them still haven't been talked about, like China, what they're doing there with printing off their money. Um, I had to be really selective today in what I could cover, so let's just dive right in. First, let's do a quick market watch. Let's see. It's been pretty good lately, as you would know from my last video where I talk about the price going up and all the reasons. So let's see here. Bitcoin today slightly down. 7 days, you could see it's going up. This is what most of the charts kind of look like as well. Um, and so yeah, on a slight uptrend, a lot of money printing's been going on. That's always nice to see. And then we got Ethereum. It has been above 2,000. Hanging right around there, looking even stronger than Bitcoin for sure with the ETH merge coming up. And since Luna got kicked out of school, the cool kid back, Cardano. Cardano, on the other hand, a little bit contrarian. Maybe people are taking money off of the other coins and putting it into Cardano because it is a nice 8% rise on a large cap today. Looks like it took off right around this time. So now let's dive into our stories. I'm going to start off with Mt. Gox because that's the main thing that I was concerned with. And it's pretty interesting. Basically, many years ago, whenever Bitcoin was around like $500, Mt. Gox was an exchange and it somehow lost all of their funds. So they didn't, but there was a recovery plan since like 2014, and it's finally come to fruition. And they're going to be getting some of their money back, some of their Bitcoin back. And there's a lot of speculation because it's a lot of Bitcoin. Let's take a look here. I got different perspectives on it as well. So this is the most recent one. It's from 3 weeks ago. And it talks about it. It basically says at the end, spoiler alert, that it doesn't know. If we learn anything about Bitcoin's history, it's that we cannot know for sure what will happen. It does seem to be slightly more bearish. So 80,000 Bitcoin potentially could be dumped on the market. And it could also be Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash. The other forks are just going to be liquidated that were part of it. It goes into how there's also the option that they can either wait, so they wouldn't be getting it as soon, which would mean it wouldn't affect the market as much, and that way they could potentially get more back. Now, if they take an upfront like cash settlement, which is the soonest it could come out would be in early September, then that would only be like 15 to 25% of what they actually held on the exchange. So we don't know how many people are going to go for that early offer and how many people are going to dump all the Bitcoin right now. Like if they're financially stable, maybe they'll just be like, hey, you know what, I'm just going to let that Bitcoin, I'd written it off, I'm going to let it ride if they still believe in it. Or they could say, hey, I bought this at 500, now it's 24,000. I'm going to go ahead and take some profit. I know I would. And so, because we're going to make it together, we're going to be in a place together, me and the viewers, to where we have enough wealth that we can just say like, yeah, I just got like basically a free Bitcoin. I'm just gonna let it ride. Okay. And this article did believe that it would crash. It's a lot of Bitcoin. It's all going to hit at once. There's other macro factors, and then we had this one from CoinDesk saying the exact opposite. Opinion: no, Mt. Gox aren't going to torpedo Bitcoin's price. That the people who sell will just get bought up. Maybe a little price blip. Talks about how even if it all sold, it's happened before, and so it won't be that big of a deal. So take that for what it's worth, because I was thinking whenever I first heard about this that it was going to definitely dump, but with all the bullish news we're hearing and everything going on about the ETH merge, maybe it's going to be a time where altcoins really rally and Bitcoin kind of stays about the same. But I'll go more into my predictions of how I feel about the market. But after doing some research on this, I'm not as scared of it as I was when I first heard about the potential of like 180,000 Bitcoin being dropped on the market at once. Apparently the max would be 80,000, and most likely it's not going to all get dropped at once. And it also doesn't take place until September. I thought it was August 22nd. All right, so let's go on to the next issue, which is going to be Russia and Ukraine. As long as there is an active war in Europe around all of our closest allies, all of our cultural allies, all of our military allies, and a huge part of the global economy, as long as there's an active war going on there, we're going to cover it on this channel, because we're not going to see all-time highs in any kind of a way that we'd want to see them if there's still that ongoing conflict. Crypto thrives in peaceful times. And so, let's take a look here. This is from Al Jazeera, one of the better news sources that you can find out there. Definitely better than like CNN or New York Times or something like that. So it's still ongoing. The war is still ongoing. The fighting, blasts of the week. Russia operated. So one thing I want to say really quick. This article has updated since I brought it up. So it's kind of interesting. Like it's live updates. And so yeah, blast of the week. Russia is still doing air attacks on the annexed peninsula and Crimea. That's coming from the UK. So they're still attacking them. Here's a map that kind of explains it that I was looking over. So this is where, with the lines, is where Russia is currently attacking. This is where Russia holds. And then this is where Ukraine is holding strong. And this is in the eastern part of Ukraine. So now let's continue on. Now, the economic one obviously has a lot more to it than the military one, especially earlier. And there's a couple really interesting things in here that I want to point out. This one, Russia is actually filing a lawsuit at the European Court of Justice in Luxembourg to overturn the European Union sanctions imposed on the country because of the invasion of Ukraine. So that is really fascinating. Not exactly the most warlike thing to do, to file a motion in Luxembourg, to file a lawsuit in Luxembourg. So we'll see what comes. I'm going to keep an eye on that, see how that turns out. I mean, that could be a way of peace somehow. I mean, coming to some kind of what's the word? Agreement or settlement of some kind. Is peace on the table? Like, okay, we'll do this if you pull out of Ukraine. So I'm definitely going to keep an eye on that. There's a pipeline between Spain and France that they're trying to make. McDonald's coming back. So I mean, this is good for the economy. If McDonald's is expanding back in Ukraine, that's a good sign for the economy. Crypto, everything's crypto related, especially this one though. You'll remember I did a story a few weeks ago And it was about how Russia was accepting Bitcoin payments for energy from friendly countries, including China and India and Turkey. So these countries are back, China, India, and Turkey. But this time, Russia's actually purchasing their currencies. So buying the Turkish lira, the Indian ruble, and the Chinese yuan. So it's that I find to be very interesting, especially, now they're buying fiat, they were accepting Bitcoin. A lot going on there. A lot that's definitely something that people interested in new digital currencies and stores of value should be keeping an eye on. And so, what do we got now? We'll move away from Russia and Ukraine um, and move on to this. The Inflation Reduction Act, the funniest name bill. And we're going to dive into it a little bit here. And I noticed this. Consumers may qualify for up to $10,000 or more in climate. So if people are getting money, maybe they're going to invest it in crypto. And so yeah, that's pretty cool. And if you look into this, if you could qualify, might as well take the money. It's there to incentivize people to switch to clean energy, which of course means they have to buy things. So all kinds of good old subsidies. The little guy needs to take advantage whenever we can, because we can't hire a lawyer to do it for us like the billionaires do. Have whole departments to take care of their tax stuff. Now let's continue on to this. So this is like the summary in a page updated today. So there's the top line estimates. What I think is really funny, especially about the three asterisks. So what's three asterisks? One is, the Joint Committee Taxation Estimate. Three, Congressional Budget Office estimates. Those sound kind of, legit, even though they're just estimates. But then this one, Senate estimate. Senate estimate, whether they're all sitting around like Ted Cruz, Elizabeth Warren, just being like, what do you think? I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. They all write it down on a piece of paper, then they average it all together. I don't really know exactly what a Senate estimate is, but I can tell you it's probably wrong. So let's look at what it's aiming to do and how this could affect crypto and the economy. Oh, and another thing I want to mention, so many people are like, the Fed's not going to print us out of this one. They're always going to print. Every single act that they pass is printing money. So yeah, more channels have become aware of that now, but like they were talking about how these bills are getting passed and they can't print us out of money. It's like that's what these bills are. These are spending bills. They're not multi-trillion-dollar ones like happened during the pandemic with almost no oversight, but it is still printing money. Now let's take a look here. Inflation Reduction Act expands Medicare benefits, so free vaccines, more of that. And then, I definitely have my questions about the vaccines and, the CDC and all of that. I do think, they were effective in, they have to be just based on the results of it, and people I've known that have gotten it and haven't gotten it, but definitely Pfizer funds a lot of the media in our sphere, especially here in the United States. So then insulin, yeah, thank God that's at least that's going to be brought down to $35 a month. It's sad in the United States that if you're diabetic, you better have a job unless you're able to spend up to 4,000. Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. So, $35 a month for insulin in 2023, and then caps out the out-of-pocket drug cost to an estimated $4,000. Who has $4,000 that they can spend on their drugs? Somebody doesn't need insurance, but I guess it is going to be capped at that amount. I guess that is to help the uber wealthy, or maybe if somebody didn't have insurance for like 1 month and they could somehow afford $4,000. I don't really get that, but that seems way too high for out-of-pocket costs, and they're finally reducing it to $4,000 for your out-of-pocket cost for prescriptions. Or less than in 2024. settling at 2025. And of course, as we know here in the crypto space, that'll be worth a lot less considering inflation. Now let's take a look here. Lower energy bills, cuts energy bills $500 to $1,000 per year. Right? More money in people's hands, use more money in crypto. It makes historic climate investment, reduces carbon emissions by roughly 40% by 30. This isn't a real thing. This doesn't tell us anything. But I did do some research actually into it. I read this whole thing. There is a variety of different ways that they are working to incentivize corporations and people to make the change over to solar, wind, etc. So that's good. I don't think this bill is going to be anywhere near enough for that to actually happen. I'm not saying they need to spend more, just this bill isn't going to, I don't think, reduce it by 40% and by 2030. It's going to take a lot more than this. This might be this might be 1% of the 40% needed. Lowers healthcare costs, saves the average enrollee $800 per year, and the Affordable Care Act marketplace allows Medicare to negotiate 100 drug. My nose is itching. I don't know what's going on. Doesn't that mean there's like luck? There's luck whenever I hope so. I'll be going over to the coins I bought here at the end. And so, and also, oh yeah, this one's awesome. This is actually the best part of the bill, like by far. Like what is up with this? This has been needed. I mean, Trump and the Democrats, this is like one of the only things they agreed upon. Republicans did not agree on it, but Trump and the Democrats did, and it's finally getting passed. Allows Medicare to negotiate drugs over the next decade. I guess Trump didn't have a direct incentive to go against the common sense, and so yeah, it's very good to that Medicare can negotiate the prices of the drugs. It's insane that we could not negotiate the prices of drugs. The drug companies say how much they are. The United States government says, yes, sir, I'm sorry. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. So at least people can agree on that we should be able to negotiate. I mean, you can't be any level of a business person and be like, yeah, we shouldn't be able to negotiate. But anyways, it's been like that for a long time. Glad to see it's finally that 100 of the drugs over the next decade, they can start negotiating prices. Okay, I'm just going to leave that there. It's a good tiny step in the right direction. I guess 10 years from now could be a big step. It's so sad that we have to fight so hard for these basic things, but creates manufacturing jobs. More than 60 billion invested will create new domestic clean manufacturing jobs. So that means, printer go burr. They are, if people have jobs, obviously they can invest in crypto. So that's a good thing. I think a lot of people, more and more people are investing in crypto as it's becoming more and more popular and adopted. Invest in disadvantaged community, cleans up pollution. And some people might be thinking, cleans up pollution, taking steps to reducing environmental injustice with 60 billion for environmental justice. Okay, it repeats itself there a bit, and you might be thinking like 60 billion to take care of these poor people. Why don't they just move somewhere better? It's not that easy. Whenever you are in unless you've lived, in a toilet and you can't afford anything else, then you really can't understand what it's like. So that it's very important. It's not easy to be in that situation. We got to get them out of there so they can be more productive members of society and buy crypto. Nobody living in a toilet wants to buy anything. Okay. I just want to buy something to forget their pains. So And then this one's kind of interesting too. A 15% corporate minimum tax, a 1% fee on stock buybacks. I mean, 1% fee on stock buybacks, I guess that's better than nothing. But I'd say that's bullish for the market because we all know it should be 0%. 0% would be, I mean 100%. There should be no stock buybacks. That's so corrupt. The government doesn't print off money to inject it directly into the stock market. It should be to build it like a base so your services are worth what it is in the stock market, not to take the money from the government and inject it into the stock market to make it look like your business is doing great. If your business is doing great, then it's not going to be that noticeable. But if you're not offering a great product and your stocks just keep going up for decades and decades, and that's when it becomes a problem. But hey, now there's a 1% fee on stock buyback, so that's something. And then here's my favorite part of it. It's going to protect families and small businesses making under $400,000 or less. I don't know what that means. I don't know. You file for bankruptcy and they're just like, guess what? You're protected. They just give you the money. I don't know. I really don't know what they're getting at with that one. So now let's move on to this one. So you'll remember a few months ago, I did a story on this guy, Martin Shkreli, Pharma Bro, disgusting piece of trash human. This is the worst kind of person. Like, I'm 100% against cancel culture. I believe that people need to be able to share their ideas and discuss them, and we need to talk to people we don't agree with, and hear people we don't agree with, and listen to people, and come up with the best kinds of solutions. It can happen. That's what a democracy is about. It's what this nation is founded upon, and it's we need to have philosophical debates about ideas that are going to affect our lives and our communities in the future. But there are some people that need to be canceled. I mean, there are some people that are so disgusting, so bad, so toxic that they can be shunned and disgusted from society as this trash slime. Trash slime is too good. I mean, look at this face. And guess what? Guess what he did? He rug pulled. He invented a cryptocurrency, which I talked about on my last video, and then he rug pulled. And then he lied about it. So look a little bit more into this. So his new crypto token appears to have been dumped. Oh, poor him, right? Somebody dumped his coin. And so you know what we hate him for. He bought the copyrights or bought the rights to a prescription life-saving prescription drug and then made it unaffordable. I mean, he rose it like 70x, something ridiculous. Like he made it was worth pennies, like to give, and then he made it be worth. You had to pay like thousands of dollars to get one, whenever it could have also just been like a dollar. There's a ridiculous profit margin, but in his mind, it's life-saving. Someone will pay anything for it. I'm going to charge everything for it. Just unbelievable. He ended up going to prison, and then he got out, and then he gets into crypto, and then yeah, just take a look at it. Notorious Pharma Bro plunged more than 90%, 90 at one point on Friday. This is from April 12th, 2022, so from yesterday, and the drop came from an unidentified wallet that appears to belong to Shkreli. Surprise, surprise. Asked about the plunge on the Discord. He said, I got hacked, nothing else. Yeah, right. Nothing else to say about it, just one little, I got hacked. It was my wallet, but my wallet got hacked and sold all my stuff. A series of blockchain transactions show a crypto wallet account under his name transfer more than 160 billion tokens to another wallet on Friday, according to Etherscan, which tracks blockchain transactions. After pairing losses, the token went down 60%, so just kept going down. And it's all recorded, so it kind of goes into that. Yeah. He described it as a software platform, early stage drug discovery projects. Yeah, he's still trying to go into pharma. So he had a coin saying that they were discovering like new life-saving drugs, and then he rug pulls it. Once dubbed the most hated man in America for raising the price of potentially life-saving drugs, released from prison earlier this year. I mean, this. I tried to warn you. This is why this channel is so important. I tell you stuff before everybody else does, and really got to get these views up. Please like, share the content, view it, comment, because we'd all be better off if this could get out. And now the last thing today, I'm going to talk about Charles Hoskinson and Donald Trump. So one thing I want to share really quick that I didn't know about till I think I'd heard about it, but since related, kind of. Charles Hoskinson, 3 days ago, weighed in on the situation we have right now, where the United States government, under Joe Biden, the Democrats, have raided former President Donald Trump for having stolen unclassified or no classified. He stole classified documents from the White House. He took them with him when he left, including possible nuclear information and possible intent to sell to foreign entities. And so Charles Hoskinson basically said this was a misfire by the Democrats, because now they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, saying that if they and I'm paraphrasing, I definitely recommend listening to Charles Hoskinson. I think he's a genius. I really do. And very articulate, and could possibly be president one day. But he says that if they find what they're looking for, what are they going to do? They're either going to let Trump off, which is further proof that, people can be above the law, or are they going to put him in prison where he could technically still run for president and become a political prisoner? And I agree with that. Now, if it's nuclear codes or important nuclear information, I mean, they had to do it. There really isn't any option. And now, if they do find him nobody can be above the law. A lot of people in crypto talk about, we need to take down the Fed. The Fed has too much power. This is how you do it. You let a president know that, hey, just because you're president doesn't mean you're above the law. Whenever you leave office, we're going to come get you if you're doing illegal things. If you did illegal things in office, I mean, there are rules. You're not above the law. It's as simple as that. But it becomes really tricky whenever it's a political opponent, because you can't take down political opponents in ways like this. And so it's just stuck between a rock and a hard place, because what if it's something not nearly as bad? Like, let's say that next time they search, like, let's say Bernie had won, and they searched, and they said they smelled marijuana at his place, and they searched him, and then they put him in jail. And they're like, hey, they did that to Trump. They did it to Trump. He stole nuclear codes, but well, marijuana is still federally illegal, and Bernie Sanders had some at his house, so he's in jail too. It could go. It's a very slippery slope, and so I'm waiting to see exactly what documents there are. I'm waiting to see how this pans out. I mean, it's going to definitely be very interesting. And then Trump also has an issue with the one in New York about his tax filings. So a lot of weirdness going on in our political landscape. I'm kind of with Charles. I think, but the thing is, if it's nuclear secrets, there's really not an option. The Democrats had to go after it. The Democrats need to be very transparent, and definitely, if it is really, let's just say, even if he had nuclear codes and he was going to sell them to Russia, I would still say that Biden should pardon him, because he's a political entity, a political foe, and you can't put a political person like that in prison. You can't put a political enemy in prison if they're not a present threat, and if they take away the codes and we get all of our stuff back, at that point, just hopefully that he's not a threat anymore in that way. He can't sell the nuclear codes, and we'll just say like, hey, maybe vote better next time. Vote for someone who isn't a reality TV star. Um, now there's a lot of there's some things Trump did that I do think were interesting, and bucking the system. I think he duped a lot of people into thinking he was bucking the system. Um, Whenever he really was cozied up to the Washington insiders as fast as he could and didn't drain the swamp in any way, shape, or form. But I do think Charles Hoskinson is a genius. I do think it's interesting that he's choosing to weigh in on this. Like, can you imagine any other big name in crypto coming out and having a strong opinion on what's going on with the Donald Trump situation where they, raided his house for nuclear secrets? It's not directly crypto related, but Charles Hoskinson is coming out with videos and strong opinions. And I just think that's fascinating, and I love the guy, and I would love to see him run for president. I'd vote for him. Okay, so now let's dive into the fun stuff. Let's see. Where do I think the prices are going? Let's look at Bitcoin. So right now, the European Union and Great Britain are increasing their interest rates as the United States is staying the same and they're increasing of interest rates, but in Europe they were at zero much longer and now they're just starting to raise it, and it's probably going to fail. Their economy is not as unstable as ours is. Theirs is less. They have the war. They have so much going on in Europe right now, all kinds of turmoil. And so right now they're raising interest rates, which makes the euro stronger, which euro is one of the largest, if not the largest currency other than the dollar and the DXY and the US dollar index. So as long as the dollar stays the same and the euro becomes stronger, then that's going to make the DXY go down. And so with these crises being averted in Europe, with right now there's some legislation, or not legislation, but some what's the word? Legal, I can't think of it. Um, but basically it's going through the legal process, some kind of agreement with the with the European Union and Russia. So, I mean, while that's going on, you think there's not going to be like a surprise attack or something? It's a little bit more calm right now. They're talking about building pipelines. Turkey is a member of the European, or well, not of the European Union, but he's a member of NATO, and Russia is buying their currencies. And so it's, yeah, a lot of very interesting interesting things going on, but I do believe this is leading to the short-term continuing rise because of this bill that's just getting passed in the Inflation Reduction Act. That's getting passed. We had the CHIPS bill passed, which I talked about in my last video. We have Congress going out on their vacation for the rest of August, so that's for most of August, and so they're not going to say anything to screw it up like they usually do. And it just kind of seems like it's going to be, and this happened in 2018 too, based on my research. Um, let's take a look at it. Let's go to 2018. This is June of 2018. Bitcoin got down to like 6,500, and then it rallied up to 75. That's a pretty big jump. And then it plunged back down. So, and it fell over there in July. So that's what we're thinking. It's going to be another little rise like that, and then plunge once we, let's see, did I have anything else jotted down as to why? Oh, then also the ETH merge is, can't forget that. That's coming up right now. But here, now I'm going to counterbalance that. Once the ETH merge happens, they're going to realize that it's not ETH 2.0. It is just merging to proof of stake. I think ETH 2.0 means whenever it can also scale. So whenever it's cheap, fast, and environmentally friendly, kind of like Elrond, kind of like a lot of the other layer ones out there that have not been as battle tested or widely adopted. And so now let's go into some negative things also to keep in mind on why I think in the midterm, within the next few weeks, it is going to go down lower, either back to 17 or lower. The money injection is going to run out. These are just, this is not a long-term policy changes, kind of more of the same. And Europe's going to reverse. Their economy is not in a place where they can just keep raising raises and focus on their economy at this point. So that's going to collapse, and that's when the US dollar is going to skyrocket again, and that's when it's going to, I think Europe is going to be the thing that really triggers this. A lot of people say it's just going to be the Fed, inflation numbers, blah, 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 blah. I look a lot more to Europe. Now, don't get me wrong, and that has a lot to do with it as well. And so, also prices are still high. Try to go out and buy a car. More, everyone doesn't need to buy a car every year, but as this goes on longer and longer, 2-3 years of super high prices on cars and houses, more and more people are feeling that pinch. And also the housing market is still, out of control. So there's going to be, whenever that finally comes down, I think that's going to be the real sign that the economy is hitting that bottom, and we can look into turning it around. Oftentimes after midterms, there's a horrible crash. It would make sense that it could hit a bottom around then. But that's way too far out to really figure out. We'll wait for the bottom. We'll talk more about that once the next crash happens. If the next crash happens, nothing I say on this channel is financial advice. Oh yeah, a little bonus ending thing I wanted to show you, as I've talked about Covalent on this channel a lot. They had a bizarre, horrible crash on the back of a bunch of bullish news. There's a lot of bullish news coming out with Covalent. They partnered with Nervos Network as well as Crypto.com, and then they got a hack. And yet they're really positive on their Twitter because there was so much positive news they were posting about their partnerships, and then they just come out like, okay, we're going to get back to you, and they're trying to recover it. There's some kind of a hack. I bought some, so and I'm going to go over the coins that I've bought and some of the trades I'm currently in. So I bought a little bit here, not too much, but I bought in right there, and let me double check my coins. Where's my notes at? So I bought Jasmy, Shiba, Helium, Covalent, Cody, and Optimism. Jasmy is one of my favorite coins. They're the Japanese coin. They're based in Japan. They've only been in Japan. They're marketing primarily in Japan, looking to expand in Eastern Asia and the United States. So stocked up on some of that. I'll do more videos on Jasmy. Shiba Inu. Not a huge fan of Shiba, but I've been seeing a lot of Let's take a quick look at it. And that's it's not where you search things. Let's do the 3 month. And so so Shiba, over the past month it's fallen. Staying about. Yeah, I was like, wait a second, this is not. Okay. Okay, so I bought this a few days ago. Let's see, was it right here? I think I bought some right in here, and then I bought some like right in here. And so I've just been holding it for the past few weeks and days. I'm expecting it to go. I'm expecting like at least a 50% rise um, in this next. Wow, it's doing pretty good right now. 25. Well, so maybe get all the way back up to like I don't know, like the here-ish region. I'm gonna get at least 50% returns off of that. Expert TA. I am actually decent at TA. I need to here, let's see. So yeah, this is the kind of charts I'm looking at. I'm expecting it to get back up to this area, so I think it's going to um, get to this prior support, flipping into resistance. So I'm expecting it to get in this range, which would be a roughly 50 to 60% price increase, and then I'll sell that. Shiba has a lot of interesting stuff going on with their burning mechanisms and multiple coins like Leash and Bone, metaverse projects. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe it'll be the next Bitcoin. I'm not counting on it. Um, Helium? No, helium is going to be actually, I'm kind of accumulating now. I bought it at $8.50. And I plan on holding onto it. And I think it's actually going to go up when the price crashes. I think like whenever the price first starts to crash, the crypto market in general, that helium will have it oftentimes has a contrarian rise. Like when everything's crashing, you'll see helium hitting new highs. So that's why I'm kind of just stocking up on helium right now. That's not a as short term of a play as like Shiba is, for example. Um, Cody, you just saw Cardano is doing amazing right now. They have their hard fork coming up, the Alonzo hard fork. Um, Cody is working with them to create a stable coin. So it's you know, kind of along, whenever a major coin is taking off, look into their ecosystem, see if there's a smaller one that might take off more. And so even though Cardano was my biggest bag, I did put in a little bit of Cody. I bought a little bit of Cody and then Optimism. I'm not gonna lie, I bought Optimism because it looked okay in the charts, and also I was from a BitBoy video. He was talking about his like new portfolio, and he showed that it had recently fallen 20%, like in the past week while everything else was rallying, and so we're expecting it to go to all-time highs. So I bought a couple $100 of Optimism, and we'll see if BitBoy steers me wrong. Um, so I was watching Life for today. He also said it was looking bullish. So yeah, just because everything else is rallying, as I'd shown you in previous charts, this is Optimism over the past week, greatly going down, but you can see it's hit all-time highs recently too. So a lot of interesting things. I could talk on and on about each coin, so many different news events. I am going to wrap it up right now, though. I need to do more stories. I need to do them faster because this content, it's must see. I talk about things that all the other channels aren't talking about. I believe that we can do this together. The crypto community is not that toxic. If you look at any other communities, I mean, there's the internet. There's so much toxicity. Like I'm just gonna love and leave you on that one. Um, all you lovers, all you loners and lovers, all of you, boys and girls, everything in between. Stay cool and keep on cryptoing on.